Tonight, a moment inside a congressional hearing is raising serious questions about who immigration enforcement is really targeting and whether the promise Americans were sold matches the reality now playing out across the country. If you want clear, fact-based breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our coverage.
Gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with my colleague from Texas. It is a tale of two cities. Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. She tried to come back from Ireland, arrested, has been there since then. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. If I can, I'd like to play a video for you. Then he also voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote for him?
Because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting.
Now we've got Mr. Jim Brown before you. He's standing up. Hopefully you can talk to him a little bit. These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported. Another case. Narciso Baranco was beaten and arrested by masked agents while working as a landscaper. He's an undocumented immigrant, 30 years in this country, not a traffic ticket. Mr. Baranco is also the father of 3 U.S. Marines. 3 Marines. You want to make a movie of people like this. A man who comes to this country, instills patriotism in his kids. They swear an oath to serve and possibly give up their life for this country. We'll play a video on this as well, please.
Masked federal agents were filmed pinning a man to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before putting him in an unmarked car. The man in the video has been identified as Narciso Baranco and is the father of 2 active duty Marines and 1 Marine veteran. The Department of Homeland Security said an illegal alien was arrested by Border Patrol agents after he, quote, assaulted federal law enforcement, adding that Baranco, quote, swung a weed whacker directly at an agent's face. Video shared by DHS and reviewed by CNN shows Baranco running with a weed whacker, but does not show him striking officers.
I also have with us today Alex Baranco behind you, a retired Marine. That's his father. And Alex, on behalf of myself, members here, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and we also thank your brothers for serving our great country. Thank you very much. Got another case. George Ree, 25-year-old, native of California, my home state. He's a U.S. citizen, Army veteran, who served in Iraq. Well, on his way to work, he came to an immigration checkpoint, pulled over. I don't know where officers deployed tear gas on him, broke his car window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out of his car. An American citizen held for 72 hours without any charges, wasn't even given the opportunity to shower, to wash off that paper
Gentleman's
spray.
time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 articles I'd like to present for the record.
Unanimous consent.
Under President Trump, an agency intended to keep Americans safe has diverted resources from child abuse, trafficking, and terrorism to immigration enforcement. Second is this letter from my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, essentially talking about all the individuals under Prop 50 referred to ICE 2025 year to date. 50 of them.
Without objection.
ICE never showed up to pick them up.
Without
Mr.
objection.
Chairman?
I will
Mr. Chairman?
entertain, I will entertain UCs at the end of the hearing. I will entertain all UC motions at the end of the hearing. We have witnesses. I want to make sure everybody has time. So if we do this now, we do have a witness has to leave. You're just going to be taking time from other members, but I will entertain UC motions at
During the Kristi Noem hearing, a lawmaker from California laid out what he described as a tale of 2 realities. On one hand, the Trump administration and Secretary Noem insist they are going after the worst criminals. On the other hand, data tells a very different story. Roughly 70% of those arrested under this enforcement push have no criminal record at all. That includes non-criminal immigrants, legal permanent residents, and even U.S. citizens. One of the most striking examples raised was Donna Hughes Brown. She is an Irish citizen, a green card holder, and has lived in the United States for 48 years. She is also the mother of a United States Marine and the sister of a retired Army colonel. In July, when she tried to return home from Ireland, she was arrested and placed in ICE detention, where she remains. Her offense? Writing 2 bad checks totaling less than $80 more than a decade ago. This is not a hardened criminal profile. This is a long-term resident with deep family ties to the U.S. military, and her story becomes even more powerful when you hear from her husband, Jim Brown. He came forward and told lawmakers he voted for President Trump because he believed the promise that immigration enforcement would focus on criminals, not families like his. In his own words, he now says he was wrong, that he was misled, and that people like his wife are the ones being targeted. Jim Brown and his wife are ministers. They spend their time helping the needy. That matters because it exposes the gap between rhetoric and reality. Enforcement is not just about statistics. It affects real families, real communities, and people who believed they were doing everything right. If you want reporting that centers those human consequences, subscribe now so you stay informed. Then there is the case of Narciso Baranco. He is an undocumented immigrant who has lived in the United States for 30 years. He has no criminal record, not even a traffic ticket. He is also the father of 3 United States Marines, 3 sons who raised their right hand and swore to defend this country, possibly at the cost of their own lives. Baranco was arrested while working as a landscaper. Video shows masked federal agents pinning him to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before placing him into an unmarked vehicle. The Department of Homeland Security claims he assaulted officers, alleging he swung a weed whacker at an agent's face. But video reviewed by major news outlets shows him running with the tool, not striking officers. This is where understanding context matters. When officials release statements that do not clearly match video evidence, public trust erodes. When enforcement actions appear aggressive against people with no criminal history, while being framed as public safety measures, Americans are left to question who this system is really designed to protect. What lawmakers highlighted in this hearing is not just about immigration status. It is about proportionality, due process, and whether military families and long-standing community members are being treated as disposable. It is also about accountability, because policies written in Washington ripple outward into neighborhoods, workplaces, and homes. If this kind of deep dive helps you see beyond the sound bites, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We break down hearings like this so you can understand not just what happened, happened, but why it matters and who it affects. At its core, this hearing forced a simple but uncomfortable question into the open. If the goal is to remove dangerous criminals, why are so many of the people being detained mothers, fathers, ministers, and parents of U.S. Marines? And if voters were promised one thing but are witnessing another, how long can that gap remain ignored? Stay with us, stay informed, and don't forget to subscribe for more clear, human-centered coverage like this.